Donald Trump is waging a classic counter-revolution. It's economic, social, cultural, military, diplomatic, political. I've never seen anybody try that. Reagan, maybe for the first year, tried it, and then he kind of went into the tax cuts, deregulation, the Cold War, but not this multifaceted fashion. Nobody thought you could take on the elite universities about surcharges on grants or endowment taxes or anti-Sem. He's doing all of that. And no one thought you could take on the green lobby. Nobody, the military told us we just can't get 55,000 extra recruits that we need anymore. It's drugs or gangs or we're in competition with private industry. He did. No, everybody said you cannot close the border without comprehensive immigration. That was proven to be a fallacy. But when you look at the breadth of what he's trying to do, and then you look within the Republican Party, he's really, I don't think historians appreciate that. He's taken race and tribe and replaced it with class interests. So the Republican Party now is saying to the Hispanic truck driver, the black truck driver, the white truck driver, you all have more in common than you do with your self-appointed leaders on TV or media or The View or in politics or Hakeem Jeffrey or any of these people. And so if you had said he's going to get 55% of the Hispanic male vote or 26% of the black male vote, everybody thought that would be impossible. And so he really, I think he's revolutionized the Republican Party in positive ways.
We're witnessing more than just political drama. This is a profound shakeup of outdated paradigms. What Trump has unleashed is not about shallow slogans. It's a movement that leaps beyond the usual tribal loyalties and recenters politics on real, shared socioeconomic stakes. This threatens those with comfortable power and forces a reckoning, a reminder that a democracy, if it survives, must adapt. It isn't mere disruption. It's the unmistakable spark of genuine renewal.
Do you think the Democrats might implode?
I thought they would. The only thing I can see is, when they looked at 68 and Humphrey lost by 100,000 votes, everybody said they're going to move to the center because Humphrey didn't distance himself from LBJ's Great Society. But they didn't. They dug down just like they're doing now after the Harris defeat. They went full McGovern. They wanted to cut the defense budget in half, guaranteed income, et cetera, et cetera. And they destroyed the party, and I think it was the fourth largest landslide in history in the 72 election. And then, they kind of hedged a little bit and said, we'll go back to the Southern accented, fake, moderate Jimmy Carter. That didn't quite work too well. But they did survive long enough for Bill Clinton, whether it was genuine or not, to go back to a JFK, Harry Truman party for a while. I don't think they're ever going to go back to where they should be when they were successful, but I don't know to what degree this manifestation is like the McGovern phenomenon, or it seems to me far more radical. And I don't know anybody in that party because the big money is with the AOCs and that fringe wing. It's odd, counterintuitive, but they really are with the Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Soros wing. And I don't see any impediment to it, is what I'm trying to say. They'd have to be really defeated again and again and again for them to be irrelevant. And they have so many resources. That's why Donald Trump is very smart this time around. He's not dealing with the symptoms of the Progressive Project U. He's looking at what caused it when they have no political power in the Congress, Supreme Court, or executive. They're on the wrong side of issues, 30-70, and yet they still exercise power. And he concluded it was the universities, it's the media, it's the corporate boardroom, the foundation, and he's addressing the root causes. And I think that's why they're so hysterical. No one in their right mind ever thought they would defund PBS or NPR or go after Harvard.
That's on my list, all of those. So let's go down this is Hugh Hewitt's list, not Donald Trump's list of the most significant things. Number one, I think the most significant thing was to shatter the Iranian nuclear program and destroy the threat of a theocracy with an end times eschatology obtaining weapons of mass destruction. Right behind it, restoring Israel to the status of the equal of any of our allies. How do you rate that action? It was really only 36 hours, but boy, what a 36 hours to change the Middle East.
It changed the Middle East, and even as fundamental, I think, was it didn't lead to a tit-for-tat, endless forever war. No sooner had he done that than he was called for a ceasefire. I think any other Republican president would have responded to that ceremonial performance art demonstration where they sent 7 or 8 missiles into Qatar, and Trump just said, well, they got to get it out of their system. They got to get it out of their system. It's a ceasefire. It didn't mean anything. So he was able to really destroy that nuclear infrastructure for maybe 5 to 10 years, if not longer. I think it might be longer given the assassinations that Israel did on their top elite. But he had an end to it. So now they have no Air Force, they have no Navy, they have no air defenses, they have no nuclear program, and they're not at war. And I don't think anybody could have pulled that off like he did.
I agree. So that's a big win. Now, he also
Yes.
got NATO to commit to go into 5%. That's not a win, that's a pledge, but it's a vision for Europe defending itself against Russia. How significant is that?
I think you made the right distinction. It's very significant that people now interpret Trump as a positive catalyst for the needed change to the 2%. He did that almost single-handedly. Whether they get to the 5%, I think Gerald Baker had a piece today, is he's very right about that, because when you have about a 1.45 demographic and you have 16% of your population is Islamic, as Germany and France is getting close to, Britain's got the same problem, and then you have this twice the expense for electric usage or electricity kilowatt by hour than ours. I don't know how you free up the capital without deregulating and lowering taxes and closing your borders and going back to fossil fuel energy. And they don't seem to be, it hasn't gotten bad enough, I guess, but I'm really worried that they're ossified, calcified.
They may embrace small modular reactors, and if they do, they can make up their energy grid, but they're caught in a regulatory morass of their own making, and I don't know that they can get themselves out, but Putin scares them, so they might. You've already mentioned, I want to dwell a little bit on the border closing. Not only is it done, and not only was it done in half of the 6 months, I mean completely done, 100%, from millions and millions of people to zero, I think that's the equivalent of the bloody flag that the Republicans are going to wave in presidential elections for a generation. Do you want to go back to the Biden border? Because that was such a catastrophe for the country. How significant politically? Now, we know what the consequences are for immigration. It's over. But how consequential is the political downstream effects of having done that?
Well, if he had done what a lot of people expected, cut down the 10,000 to 2,000 or 3,000, I think it would have been debatable. But he ended it, and he put to a lie the idea you needed comprehensive immigration. So from now on, if a Democrat comes in and we go back to the old system, people are going to say this is what it really is. This is a demographic effort to reconstitute the political system of the United States by importing voters. And that's what it was. But Trump really exposed them by just, I had never seen anything like it. He didn't just deal with a problem. He ended illegal entry in 6 months. Now he's got a problem with the 10 to 12 million that were let in under Biden. But I've never seen anybody. It's analogous, and maybe this is on your list as well, we were told by Pentagon, I've talked to a lot of generals, we were told we would not get 45 to 55,000 necessary recruits because of fill in the blanks, obesity, gangs, drugs, competition with private enterprise, just impossible. And he comes in and he solves that problem too against conventional wisdom. So, and I don't think anytime we have a military shortfall in the future, I think people are going to say you're going back to DEI, or you're giving that message to these white males who die at twice their numbers in Iraq and Afghanistan of the demographic, and you've alienated them, and we all knew that was the reason that particular cohort was not joining, and the data support that, but you couldn't get that message out. He just blew that up and said, change the message, change the value system, welcome people in that like to go to combat, and the problem's solved. And it's quite remarkable what he did with recruitment on the border.
It's not on my list, except I'll come to defense one removed from here, but you're absolutely right, and I'm going to expand my list for that. I want to get to the one big beautiful bill. He extended and expanded the tax cuts, and for the first time, I'm 69, Victor, first time, the key rates were made permanent. He refused to succumb to the office Congressional Budget Office and used the 10-year deal, which always created a crisis. They're permanent. If anyone changes them, they're raising taxes, political death knell. How significant? But in that bill, by the way, there's so many things I didn't even know that were in there, like $1,700 tax credits if you're a taxpayer in a state with school choice. I'm still absorbing everything that's in that bill. It was a massive piece of legislation that, unlike the Biden and Obama big bills, did a lot more than merely spend money. He I think, supercharged the economy. We won't know for 6 months, but I think that's what he did.
At the core of this upheaval lies a historic clash about who shapes the future. The resistance from elite institutions, universities, legacy media, capital, reveals the anxiety that their era of narrative control and privilege is under threat. But this struggle is not just about who wins or loses the next round of elections. It's a deeper battle over legitimacy, trust, and the very fabric of American civic life. What makes the moment exceptional is not merely the policies passed or the rhetoric on offer, but the broader shift. Policy victories like border enforcement and tax reform become symbols of a larger power realignment. This is what real systemic change looks like. Messy, contested, far from perfect, but powerful enough to reverberate for generations. Mature viewers should see in these patterns both warning and promise. Societies stagnate when institutions refuse renewal and flourish when the foundational questions about fairness, responsibility, and who gets to lead are revisited with clarity and courage. This is your invitation to step above the noise, reflect, and join a conversation about where we as a democracy should go next. If you value honest analysis and real conversations, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. What did we miss, and what should we tackle next? Your voice makes this community stronger. Let's keep pushing for the truth together.